Okay, I hope we're live. We're not in our normal studio setup. So if someone can confirm that we have video and audio now going through, we are going to have a little higher latency than normal. Okay. Valerie gave me the thumbs up. You guys, I think I forgot to click a button before I went live. I'm using my laptop. So I think we're going to be running like a 30-second delay. But it's probably okay because the internet was acting up earlier. So hopefully this will keep it running. What I want to do today, the setup at home took forever to get set up, just like always when we're down at the shop. But in the live stream we did yesterday, I brought out this tool. This is the Pulse Width Modulator PWM Power Pro. I bought this in the hopes that I can control electric motors both directions because it does have a polarity switch. But after I ordered it, I watched some of the no Tarzan today. I watched some of the videos on it, and this polarity switch here only changes the output from positive to negative pulse width modulation. It does not change our ground to a power. So it does do part of the job for us, but it's not quite what I was looking for. What I was really wanting is something that I could just flip a switch and have the polarity reversed, which would be really handy for the video like I did on the Toyota Tundra, the encoder motor. I wanted to run that encoder back and forth, and I had to hit it with a power probe, switch my wires, hit it again, and I didn't have any control on the speed as well. Another reason I wanted this guy. This is pulse width modulated. I can control the speed, but I still can't control the direction. So, unfortunately, I was going to do this over the weekend, and I'm an idiot, and I lost the tool. I lost the part I was going to use. So this part right here is a polarity reversing switch, and it is a, I forget what they call it, maintain, that's what it says right on the side. So it's not a momentary switch, it's not a spring-loaded switch. So I can do polarity one way and then reverse polarity or off. They use this for electric winches and gates, I guess, is what the advertisement was on Amazon. It's 25 amps. It was like $18. I think I threw the other one away on accident because I put it in a box and it's so light. I thought the box was empty and I threw it away last week when I was cleaning up my area. Trust me, it took me long enough to find a free stock image of what's behind me. I'm not going to go digging for a space one. So I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put banana jacks on it so that I can plug it not directly into this, but I have another set of leads for this right here. So I want to add this switch in line of this, and then I can just flip-flop the direction of whatever motor I'm controlling. I can control the speed with the knob, so I can just have like a slow speed motor control, power windows, actuators, whatever I'm hooked up to, and then I can just flip this from one direction to the other, and I think it'd make the testing process a lot simpler. So my messy workstation here. Sorry, I'm just going to catch up on the comments real quick. Hey, Trained by Text, the Rat Trap Supervisor, Vala Milk, she's in the room with me. Brian Good, Michael Nicholson. We got Oz, Peekaboo. Let me see. Salah, Sundaga. Sorry if I butchered the name there. Okay, so we got this. We got a hot soldering iron. I'm going to try not to burn myself. My soldering iron stand is at work. We have some B and C dual-sided terminals. I don't know what the technical term for that is. Did I mention trained by techs? You guys are in the room as well. But these are off of Amazon as well. Let's find matching colors here. They snap together. It's for building leads, cables. These are very similar to the Pico leads. Let me switch camera views. Maybe you can see a little better. They come with 2 halves. Once we get it all assembled, I will have a male end and a female end on the banana jack for whatever reason. If you need to flip-flop the type of leads you're hooked up to, we're not limited. I have the male and female only ends, but I think having both ends on here on both sides of the switch is going to expand our possibilities. I have my garage sale T&B strippers that are worn out. We'll see if they will work because the other ones that I had in my vehicle are completely destroyed and they're not going to work at all. So I think I have to kind of gnaw through the wire here. But what we're going to do is we're just going to strip these wires off. Get a little bit. Oh, and I always forget the limiter on these wire strippers is been ground down. Someone tried sharpening it and then they made it close more. So the terminal sizes are incorrect. And I always forget that. So I really need to do that one over again. And since I want them to be equal length, we'll just do both of those again. You would think, being a mechanic with lots and lots of tools at work, that I'd have a decent set at home. But I don't, because I would much rather work at work instead of working at home. Stabbed myself with the wire. Okay, we'll get those out of the way. And we need to kind of pre-feed one end of these banana jacks on there. So there's one like kind of smaller hole here that doesn't have a jack in it. Just going to slide that down. I guess we need to pick which one's going to be power, which one's ground. Does it have a... No, it does not have a schematic. And I brought a meter, but I didn't bring meter leads. So I may have to rob some out of my AES wave kit. So I'll just go ahead and get this other side ready, and then we'll do a quick continuity check, find out which wires go through, which ones don't. Move that out of the way. AES wave kit. Can't really fit it on the table with the hot solder iron. This is their kit I picked up from Super Saturday. But I knew I had test leads in here. Got my little snap-on amp clamp. Flip that over to ohms. And I'm not even going to stick leads on here. We're just going to shove that in there. Yeah, I guess it really doesn't matter which way we pick for positive and negative. I can always mark it afterwards. Okay. So black and blue will be together if the switch is in the on position.
Is that thing supposed to be on the wire? You can thank Michael for that.
It only touched it a little bit. See, that's what happens when I don't bring the soldering stand home. Appreciate that. I would have smelted it eventually. Okay. So we're going to feed the small end. We're going to do the black and the blue wires first with the black connector. And then these terminals here, let me flip that over. They have a hole that kind of goes through the center here. That's where the wire is going to go through. That's where I'm going to solder it. I don't have a great way of holding these while I'm at home either. But they do have a flat spot here. And I think that's kind of for a clearance for the wire to fold down inside of this connector. So we'll have to feed the wire in there. We'll have to get some solder. You probably can't even see that. I'm probably too close to the camera. And we'll get those soldered in. We got to do 4 of them, and then we can plug it into that pulse width modulator and test it out. I did bring a electric motor home, not a motor home. I brought an electric motor to the house with me so we can test it. Just making sure this is going to fit, because it seems like I made one of these once that was extremely tight and didn't want to fit. So that is going to hold down. I think the flat side goes in like that. Okay. So we're going to insert the wire in on this side with the flat. I think that's what I'm going to go for. That's how I'm going to solder it. We'll see what happens. And my soldering skills may not be the best. I'm actually just going to connect a couple of these to hold this in place. I'm mediocre when it comes to soldering. I can get it done, but some of you other guys that do this more often probably have a lot better luck. Valerie's just afraid that I'll burn her. And you normally just melt the solder from a couple inches away and let it drop onto the wire, correct? See if it's soaking in there. It's going to take a little bit to build some heat into this connector. I think we're getting it in there. Don't worry, it's not an expensive coffee table either. And then I'm going to need a little more solder on the other side. Okay, we'll put it on something less burnable. I did bring home a magnetic holder for wires, but my coffee table is not made out of metal. No surprise there, so it doesn't do a whole lot of good because it does not magnetically stick to my table. We're gonna cheat. We're gonna turn the soldering iron up. See if we can heat this up faster, because this is looking terrible at the moment. And I can always snip that extra bit off at the end. I'm just trying to get the solder to suck into the BNC, or the banana jack, not the BNC connector. So we do have to build quite a bit of heat. There it goes. It's starting to suck itself in there. Use a big torch. Yeah, I unfortunately I do have a torch in the basement. I think it's MAP gas, so it'll heat it up super fast. The pliers on the desk, hold it with the pliers. I can snip it off with the pliers. Okay, so I did sort of get solder in there. I'm going to snip this down a little bit. See, this is a problem with working from home. You know, at work I would have just thrown it in the vise and called it good. Yeah, most of that was just a blob on the surface. See, I'm not. Maybe I can hold it. Yeah, I'm just gonna fight it that way too. There we go. Now we got some help. You guys are all at home laughing at me. Pretty sure. And since I'm so focused on trying to not burn myself or the house down. Well, I'm hoping since I put the other jack on the end of it, maybe it'll dissipate some of the heat away from the little red button, and I won't melt the button off.
You good? You need help?
There it goes. Now we got some heat. I think we're good.
Okay. If you need help, talk loudly. I have you turned up really loud in the headphones.
I don't know if you guys can hear Valerie. I'm wearing a lapel mic. But she says if I need help, she will help me. That's still not great. We'll see how it goes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Since I'm just using this for motor control, it's not, precise measurement. It should be all right. Let's cool that off so I don't burn myself. Okay. Did I put too much solder on there? Is it going to go in here? I may have to cut some of that down. I may have to cut all that off. I don't think I can have that blob exposed on the other end. See how this is? I should have done a practice run before hitting the live button. I have made stuff with these banana jack connectors in the past, but it's been a while. And I probably made the same mistakes when I did that. I'm going to desolder this a little bit, and I'm hoping I can just slide the wire back into the banana jack very carefully. There we go. A little more. Okay. I think we're good. Now we just have to hold still while it cools back off. You know how long it would have taken if I practiced this as well? I've been over here for the last half an hour trying to get my computer to work. Let's cool that back off. We're just going to stick it right into this connector and melt it and have to start all over again. Okay, is that far enough? I think that's it. Okay. Now we are going to take the other end of the connector. We're going to stick it on there. Push and snap. Snaps together. Just like that. I'm sure that's like 100% quality. You couldn't find better quality than what I just made right there. Okay, I'm going to read a couple comments here. Try to get caught up. Yeah, Valerie might have to read comments out loud, but the problem with that is the delay. So even though my delay is even more, at least when I stop to catch up, it doesn't seem like a big delay. Yeah, buffing it down with the roll lock wheel would have been handy. I would have had to bring home some more tools for that. While I'm working on this end of the tool, I'm just going to go ahead and put the red terminal on there. We'll do better this time. I wonder if we should tin this one first. Of course, my my other leads rolled off the table. There we go, found it. That might cause more issues as well. Okay, so we don't want as much protruding, so I might be safer to cut some of this wire off so I don't attempt to use as much. What, are you trolling me over there? You're probably trolling me, and I can't even read the comments fast enough. And since you're a moderator, you're probably deleting your own comments before I can read it. Okay, we got this. We got this handled. And the way you have to kind of right angle your wires. You know, I bet a block of wood with a hole about a 1/4 inch in diameter would hold that perfect for me. See if we can't hold that in place. I'm just going to rest that on there. Helping hand. Don't need it. We got gravity. Let it start working some heat in there, and then I'll transfer some heat to the bottom to suck it in the rest of the way here. You know, so I surprised myself with that one. That worked remarkably better than I expected. Can you guys see what I'm doing, or do I need to zoom in that camera? Let me know in the comments. I didn't realize how far away that camera was going to seem when I'm doing tiny little soldering jobs like this. Use my foot. That would take up the whole frame of the shot. I mean, I can't. My foot's half the size of this coffee table. I'm just adding some heat in here. Are you laughing at me over there? She's laughing at me. She's making fun of me. You want to sleep outside tonight? Do I not have enough heat? Might just be easier to flip this whole thing over and start soldering from the other side. Maybe I'm losing too much heat with my other banana jack. So we're gonna risk.
Zoom just a little, please.
Okay, let me finish soldering this one. I'll zoom us in a little more. Then you guys can see what I'm eating for dinner here on this plate. And as soon as I realized that I didn't bring my soldering station, I just grabbed a a sponge and a plate. I figured that would be something that would work good enough. Okay, that way worked pretty good. Let's see if that's really hot still. In case you guys were wondering why I was pretending like my hand was burning, I was not pretending. That was real life. Okay, man, we are halfway done already. I unfortunately did not have time to work on the Jeep again. It's scheduled for tomorrow anyways, so it's not a huge deal that I didn't get back to it. I kind of volunteer my diag time when we're working on the weekends, so I'm not too concerned about the several hours that we spent on it already. I'm not going to build a customer for that. You know, it's kind of for fun. If we get to the conclusion of it, then that's great. But I'll probably take one more look at it if it acts up tomorrow, and see if I can find anything that points me in a different direction than what we already found out. Welcome to the party, Corey. You're not super late. You're a little bit late. We're only about halfway done with this project. Just to recap for anyone that is just joining us, I am making a polarity reversing adapter for many of my tools, because what I find is if I'm operating a motor or an actuator or a power window, something like that, you often need to flip the power up and down, and it's really inconvenient to take the power probe and reverse the leads. So I have this little gate controller. It's a 25 amp maintained polarity reversing switch, like less than 20 bucks on Amazon. I am putting banana jacks on there so I can plug it into my power probe And also, what I do with it, the PWM Power Pro. So that with this, I can turn the speed down to what I want, and I can flip it back and forth, which would have been super handy on that Toyota transfer case motor. And also these BNC, or these banana jack, I keep calling them BNCs. These banana jack adapters, I just picked these up on Amazon a while back. It was like a 10 pack for super cheap. I got 3 more leads to do. Wait, are you telling me that I need to redo one of the ones? I hope I don't need to redo one of the ones I just did. You're probably looking at my soldering. Yes, it. See how I did that? I made that little electrical connector do a backflip when I burnt my thumb just now. And yes, it did cost me $40 because I accidentally threw away the first switch that I purchased. I think. Maybe it'll show up one of these days. Probably not. Now where are my... There we are. Okay. We're going to try this one more time with gravity helping hand. Now I'm using a scrap piece of solder that one of my students cut off of my roll, and then they just shoved it back in the box. I brought all my soldering stuff to school because we've got soldering irons at the school, but I didn't know how many we had, and I don't know if we have any actual soldering stations. So I brought a bunch of my own stuff for the students to use, just so they can kind of see what the difference is between, you know, a small soldering iron, a soldering station, and kind of a higher wattage soldering iron. Get familiar with using all the different tools that are out there. Okay, that one's actually, I think we're getting good. We are almost level pro at this. Let's try not to burn ourselves. Now I don't know if the leads that I got in the kit on that pawn shop Pico I bought. I mean the leads are brand new, so I'm assuming they're from Pico, but they're the all black leads, and it's an older kit. But the leads aren't very good. They the insulation on 2 of them already has kind of frayed on the end of it, and it shorted against the banana jack. There we go. Suck that solder right in there, and oh, I need a little more. So we were getting ready to go to a scope class the other day, and I grabbed the lead and remembered that I needed to fix it. And instead of being soldered like this, it actually had a set screw in the side of the banana jack, which was kind of strange. Okay, that needs to cool off before I stick the plastic on there. And I got the insulation a little warm. And when it comes to this pulse width modulating tool, I was kind of browsing on Amazon for alternatives to that as well. And I think you could build something very similar, at least without the amperage display, for less than 20 bucks, which is a pretty good deal. It is kind of nice having the big control knob, and you know it's all nice in one big package, and it has the heat sink on it. I picked it just for you, Corey. I figured you'd be sleeping though. I mean, I do have a train by texture as well, but for some reason it's in Valerie's size and not mine. So it doesn't fit me quite right. Oh, and I used the last bit of my solder. I should have got ready. And what are you guys using for solder? I have a gigantic roll. I quit buying the smaller rolls, and my Ram Automotive Products guy. Let me switch cameras here. Maybe you can see. It says Kester solder. I'm assuming it's the same formula as most of them, which is what, 60% tin and 40% lead. It probably doesn't really say on here. Oh, okay, it says 6644, but if my math is correct, that adds up to 110. So not real sure about that, but maybe it's a German thing. Those engineers over there. Not exactly sure where that's made. Okay, that's Valerie's trained by texture. She got into the club before I did. Oh man. Lost my grip. Now we're halfway there. And it's nice and hot. Okay, one more time. We got it. And then we'll try it out. We'll try it out on a. I have the motor off of a air compressor unit. I think it's off a Toyota Sequoia. We converted it to coil springs. I used a compressor off of a Hummer. And am I getting people in trouble? I have an air compressor on my truck that's off of a Hummer, and I just use it for onboard air for airing up my tires. And my brother grabbed one off of a Toyota Sequoia, but he hasn't got it installed yet, so I don't know if he was having issues with it or if he just hasn't got far enough. But I did take it was halfway apart already, so I took the piston off of it. So I'll have to put that back together tomorrow. Yeah, I have two different sizes of this solder. This one is very, very small. The writing is worn off. It's 031 in inches, but I can't read what the millimeter equivalent is. And I have stuff that's about double the thickness. And depending on what I'm soldering, for circuit boards and stuff, I prefer this small wire. For actually wiring repair, I normally grab the bigger stuff just because I don't burn through as much of it. So it's 60-40, 6 millimeter. I'll have to zoom in on the information here. It's kind of confusing or misleading. And you know, I'm sure I had learned it, but I had long forgotten what the ratio of tin and lead was in solder until it came up on our test, and I actually had to learn so I could help the kids study. We covered it in class and in the reading, but it had been long enough that I did not recall what the percentage was right off the top of my head. Okay, I think that one's good as well. Angel hair, yeah, it's very, very thin, but I do like it just because of how fast it melts when I'm working on smaller electronics. Oh man, how could you guys probably tried to stop me, didn't you? You said, hey dummy, you forgot to put the other end of the connector on the wire before you soldered that. Did someone put that in the comments? Or did anyone catch it? It was hiding underneath my plate. That's about the way of it. So now I have to desolder this after I just cooled it back off. Nobody has ever done that before, right? You always get done soldering the wire and then you realize that you forgot to put heat shrink on the wire first. Yep, that's the way of it. Okay, let me see if I can shake this solder out of here. No, we're good enough. Oh man. At least nobody saw that, right? Nope, gotta snip it off. We'll just cut that off and start over. Now the leads are going to be a little lopsided, but why are all my wire cutters dull at home? It's probably because I tried cutting like a barbed wire fence or something. Yeah, I swear. Too much pressure. I was talking too much. That's what it was. But it'd be really boring in here if you... Michael knew, but he just wanted me to get some more soldering practice. Pretty sure that's what it was. How hot is that? Just barely hot enough to burn me. Get that wound on there. Oh. We're all human, right? Yeah, but before we're done, I'm going to have to find that other one that I threw away. Just for the wires. Now, worst case scenario, we'll break open this switch. And that soldering iron is getting pretty nasty. Yeah, I have all my good stuff at work too. The soldering station I have has a little cleaning wand and a flux station. So real quick for anyone joining us, I am redoing this connector because I did not put the little plastic end on the wire before I soldered this banana jack on here. And our end goal is to have a polarity reversing switch that we can plug into our power probe, our meter, whatever device. I mean, we could use it as a standalone unit too. Just hook it straight up to the battery and be good. Okay. That one, I got the solder all the way through that time. Cool that off a little bit on the end, so we're not melting plastic. Okay. Of course, I have a little bit of solder slag sticking up. There we go. We'll force it together. Okay. Finished product. Do we think it works? I am going to have to... I'll have Valerie get up maybe. I can probably get it. I got to run and grab...
I get it. What?
There's a battery pack, little booster pack on the counter.
That one that I asked if you wanted it earlier and you said no? Yep, I can grab it.
I didn't need it at that time. I needed my solder. Not that one.
Oh.
It's underneath my stack of paperwork over there on the end of the counter. Do you see it?
What am I looking for?
It says like NOCO on it. It's
It looks like that?
No, it's my jump pack.
Oh. This huge thing.
That huge thing right
A
there.
flashlight on it?
Yeah.
This thing right here? Here you go.
Okay, let me turn off this flashlight here.
Something burning?
Something burning?
Smell it?
Nah, I don't smell anything burning. Okay, I'm going to shut the soldering iron down. Hopefully we're done with that. Put the dangerous tools away. And move that out of the way carefully as I mess up the camera too. I don't want to exit my natural environment here. Okay, what else do we need? what the flux is going on. Well, I was sending Valerie to go grab this off the countertop. And we're going to use this as a temporary power supply. If you haven't used these as a jump pack, they work decent. I still like my full-size jump pack. But if you have a completely dead battery or you want to use it as a power source, you have to turn it on. Since it doesn't detect any battery attached to it, you have to override the system. Let me get this off of my headphones or my microphone. So this little red button, we're going to hold that down. And now we are outputting power. Now I don't know if this is like I've never actually measured the voltage to see if it's constant or if it's pulsing, because I think it has some way of stepping up the voltage internally. But we're just going to use that as a power supply. I guess we don't need that in the frame. We need this guy in the frame. Here comes the smoke. Valerie said that she already smelled smoke. Okay, on this tool here, you have to turn it all the way down and wait for it to zero out. And once it zeroes out, then you can crank it up to whatever you want. But I believe that you have to turn it down. Sorry, I'm not quite in frame. Let me show you that again. Let me zoom back out. We're done with the sensitive electronic stuff. I'll zoom you back out. I think we're still sort of in focus. Okay, one more time on the Power Pro. When you first hook up power to it, it has this message. If the knob is cranked up at all, it gives you kind of this error message. You have to wait for it to zero out. Maybe you don't have to have it all the way off, but you do have to wait for it to zero out before you can put power out on any device. Now this one here is direct ground. That is not controllable. That just goes straight through the ground lead of the device. The polarity switch over here, we can pulse width modulate our signal to ground, off, or power. We want to leave that on power because we're going to use this new tool we just built to do all the switching for us. So I'm actually going to plug this into the bottom of the banana jack. Power lead here. Plug that into the bottom there. Let's hook up our snap-on meter. We're going to flip that to volts. Plug into that terminal and this terminal. And we are getting a trickle of voltage, but there's no amperage going through. I'm just going to crank this all the way up to max. And you can't really see it on the screen, but we are at negative 11.57 volts. Flip the switch. It instantly, was it negative before? Yeah, negative and positive. Just hold that there, flipping the switch. You can barely see it. Negative to positive. Okay, so we're good to go there. Our device is working as intended. Let's grab this really big motor that is going to pull a lot of amperage. Well, it probably won't pull that much because the compressor part of it is disabled. There's normally a piston and a rod sticking out of there. So now it's nice and dangerous and everything's open. I need two clips here. And I may zoom you back in on the motor just so we can watch the direction change. I'm going to turn the power all the way down on the device, on the Power Pro. And I'm going to slowly turn this back on. Okay, we have motor turning in a counterclockwise direction. Let me zoom you back in. Now that I know we can fit everything in the frame. So I'm running, let's see if we can slow it down. About 2 amps right there. The motor is, I'm not going to get my finger all the way in there because it'll probably hurt. Counterclockwise direction. I'm just going to flip the switch to off, back on, and it looks like this motor probably has brush timing that is more efficient in one way than it is the other way. It doesn't really like going backwards. So the way the brushes are positioned, we're probably hitting the sharper edge of the brush on the commutator bar, but it did switch directions. Shut it off, flip it back the other direction, and I'm running at a very low speed. I can crank this all the way up. Whoa. We're very out of balance. Oh, it didn't like that. Nope, doesn't like. Okay, I brought a motor that doesn't like being reverse polarity switched. We do have a fire extinguisher somewhere in the house. Oh, man, I am. Did anyone catch that? Did you guys catch what I was doing? I was flipping the wrong polarity switch. I should just put tape over that. There we go. Now we're talking. Gee whiz. The whole reason I built the device and I didn't even use it. And that's why it quit working when I flipped directions. So, clockwise, counterclockwise. Easy reverse motor control, back and forth. If we need to run an actuator one direction and the other, flip-flop it back and forth, we can do that with this switch. Cool. That's what I wanted to do. Good morning, Hassan. It's pretty late at night here. It's 10:30 p.m. Some people watching should be sleeping right now. Actually, Corey, are you at work? On the East Coast, it's what, 12:30? And you guys probably have to wake up nice and early to go to work. Okay, what do you guys think? I think for the little bit of money that I put into building the switch, I think it's well worth it. I think it's going to come in handy for a lot of jobs. I mean, you really can't. If that was a production unit, if any other company was offering that with the jacks on it, that would be like 50 or 60 bucks minimum. So I probably have $24 in this one unit with banana jacks, an extra $20 in the unit that I accidentally threw away. But pretty cool. I will add links to all that stuff down below. I didn't get prepared soon enough to add those into the description right off the bat. But I'll put those down below. Super cheap. That people are going to wonder why the sales of these start going up. They're going to be like, what in the world are people doing with them? Yeah, we're misusing them. We're not using it for reverse motor control for an electric gate opener or something like that, or a winch. We are using it for diagnostic purposes. So I think that's pretty cool. I'll kind of browse through, make sure that I get all the comments. Michael Nicholson, I want one. You're probably shopping on Amazon right now. You're getting the early morning delivery. You'll have one built by like 10 a.m. tomorrow. Oh man. You know, when you're doing stuff live, you can't edit out the bloopers of me soldering that on there before I put the connector together using the wrong polarity switch. You just never know. Trained by text. It's worse when you forget it twice. It is. I have done that before. You solder up a wire, forget the heat shrink. You're like, oh, cut the wire, strip it back up, solder it again. The heat shrink fell off somewhere in the process. And each time that wire gets shorter and shorter. Does anyone else have any questions? I'm not using my feet. Brian Good just found it on Amazon. What was it, like 16 or 17.98? I didn't get to work on the throttle body victim today. I started it up to pull it out of my bay to work on a waiting vehicle or a customer waiting vehicle, and it did not act up at all. The throttle body does stick. It does need a throttle body. I think the aftermarket one's junk. The locking tab is busted off of the pigtail, so it needs a it yeah, it needs a pigtail. It needs a throttle body. It's possible that the PCM isn't programmed correctly, up to date. It may have internal issues as well. It is a remanufactured PCM, and I don't know how old it is. At this point, it's on the schedule for tomorrow. I'm going to bring it in. I think I have another vehicle coming in tomorrow that is around the same year range, so I'll see if I can get some known good waveforms off of that just to compare to the Jeep. $17.99. I knew it was on there somewhere. Oh yeah, I've done that too, Corey. Perfect brake line flare. You forget the little nut, or you have it all flared. You put that bend in the brake hose, and the nut's on the downside of the bend, and it won't slide around the bend, and you're trying to straighten it out. That happens. You can't even see. My glasses are so dirty you can't see dim eyes. Oh. Okay, any other questions? If not, we're going to wrap it up. Um, I try to get at least 5 hours of beauty sleep to keep these dashing good looks. And we got school in the morning. We had school canceled or delayed today, but my block got canceled. So I didn't have students. So that means I got 2 more days of, of class with my current students before winter break, and then I start a whole new batch. So we have a few things we gotta get caught up on in the morning. I have some grades, and we're gonna have to do a modified final since we have less time. But I think we're gonna wrap it up. I appreciate you guys watching. I know it's late for some of you, it's early for others, but I appreciate you taking the time to step in and watch. And I hope to see you more in future live streams and on my just regular videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.